I'm really excited to introduce our speakers. So up first, we have Nadeja Adams. Deja currently resides in San Francisco, California, where she stepped into her role as a senior account executive on the employer partnerships team at Springboard. Springboard, in case you guys don't know, is an online boot camp dedicated to bridging the world's skills gap for career changers and beyond. Deja is no rookie to the ed tech sector, having worked in the industry for nearly 2 years with a focus on creating equal opportunities for career changers in tech. In Deja's current role, her days are filled with inspiring conversations with Fortune 500 to budding startups who are eager to find the right talent to join their team. Her personal mission is to shift the narrative around how employers think about who would make a great fit for their roles and pushing the envelope to view non-linear paths as a gift rather than a burden. Deja, this is a goal that is near and dear to my heart as well, as someone with an incredibly bonkers resume with just some weird stuff in it. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to say. Deja is going to be joined in conversation with our own amazing Sanmaya Mohanty. He is the assistant program manager for the APAC community, and I'm really excited to hear this conversation. So Sanmaya, take it away.
Thanks, Meg, and thanks for that lovely introduction. Hi, Deja. So nice to have you with us here and speaking at the Diversity Reboot Summit. And for all our audience tuned in, there's a little announcement. Deja has a surprise for you that she's going to be revealing at the end of this session. So stay tuned and keep listening. So moving over, Deja, tell us more about your journey and your motivation to work with Springboard. Tell us more about yourself. I'd love to know more.
Yeah, it's so funny because my journey in itself, I think, is the perfect example of just unexpected career changes and just kind of going with the flow. And, as opportunities arise, being able to apply your strengths. Prior to fast forwarding all the way to college, I actually thought I was going to be a news anchor. So I was studying broadcast communications. I had known for years. Yeah, you couldn't tell me anything. I was going to be on television. And so I had spent a lot of years taking on internships, things of that sort. And my goal was actually to land a job at a radio station, which I did in Denver as an account executive. And I said, I'm going to do really good at this and connect with businesses to put together campaigns. But my goal is to find a way to sneak on air. That never happened. So while I was working in this radio industry, another boot camp actually reached out to me and I declined the first interview, believe it or not. And for some reason, the hiring manager reached back out and he's like, hey, I saw you, didn't want to come to this interview, but I'd really like to set up a call to learn why. Are there any concerns that you have? Any questions that I can help answer? And lo and behold, that's what started my journey into the ed tech sector.
Wow.
Yes.
What's meant to be will be meant to be. I mean,
it's meant to be.
Totally. Even if you don't go into it, it will definitely attract you. So tell us more about, the kind of work that you do at Springboard.
Yes. So I started this work actually in my past role, and then Springboard snatched me up, which I'm very grateful for, but still working on the employer partnerships team. So I like to say that I'm a matchmaker. It is the most rewarding job, and I wholeheartedly believe that with every fiber in my being, just because every single day I'm able to advocate for people that have, nonlinear career paths and connect them with employers, that are seeking to fill roles that fall within our existing tech verticals. Even more rewarding, and I love this, I get to challenge how hiring managers think, right? So a lot of times, managers will have their, perfectly polished job description ready to go. They have an idea of the type of candidate they want to attract, but I like to get down to the nitty-gritty. I'm like, what are really the must-haves? What are more so nice to haves? Where is there some flexibility? And if you just have someone with the grit and passion and baseline understanding of your business model, would that be more important than paying, so much attention and over analyzing, whether or not they fit all of your check boxes? So every day I get to challenge the status quo, which is something that I absolutely love to do. And there's so many people, I think, in the industry now that are definitely shifting the way that they think about hiring practices and outdated models that don't necessarily, prove that they're going to bring the best candidate through the door, right? So it's just such a rewarding role. And I see every single day just the lives that we get to change by being able to advocate, for just unconventionalism. And, even if the dots don't connect on a surface level, that job you held as a waitress or as a sales associate at a store when you were coming up in college may not seem like you may have hated it in the moment, right? But later on, those soft skills are going to pay off tenfold. And we see it happen every single day.
Totally. I totally agree. And in the previous session, as there's this dogmatic approach that, a person has to have this kind of background, has to have, let's say somebody has to go to marketing, then, you cannot be from a medical background or let's say a sales background. For marketing, you need to have marketing or, just this age-old draconian mindset. So it's nice that, you're challenging all those on a day-to-day basis. And with those, with your efforts, you're paving way for many, many people who want to do those transitions, who may not have that college education or those fancy MBAs, and, they're getting to get to their dream jobs. So Deja, tell us more about, from a candidate's perspective, if I want to try out Springboard for the first time, tell us about the entire journey, how the entire journey would look like.
Yes, thank you for that question. So I think it's a no-brainer that for the most part, our candidates, they have grit, they have passion, right? Because it takes a heck of a lot of courage to start. Some people are completely starting over, or they're pivoting into some unknown territory that they have zero experience in. So with that being said, one of the key, we do have a vetting process, which is very important because as the saying goes, you can drive a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it, right? So, we can do our part in terms of, getting our candidates in front of employers, finding opportunities, things of that sort, but we need to make sure that the individuals want it just as bad, so we'll do our part to make sure that we support them throughout the entire process. So starting from admissions, we do test for aptitude, things like technical skills, grit, passion. Do you have a growth mindset, which is very important, right? And then if you pass those initial test that we have in the beginning, you're then enrolled in the course. And while you're enrolled in the course, this is what's so exciting to me is that all of our candidates are paired one-on-one with an industry mentor, which we have found, yes, to be just such a vital component. And that's actually what sold me on Springboard, is this hybrid model of understanding that most of our students, they are working, they need a flexible curriculum that's more self-paced, but at the same time, we don't want that to compromise the human-centered approach, right?
Yeah.
So, and not only that, you can, ace every test, you can master every skill, but if you don't have someone in your corner that's able to tell you, these are the market trends we're seeing going on in the market. This is how you not only learn skills, but you've got to be adaptable and be tech agnostic, right? Because you can master SQL or, JSON, whatever it is today, and then next year there's something completely new coming down the pipeline, right? So this goes into the soft skills that we assess for. And then once students complete the course, they're actually paired with our amazing career coaching team, that works with them to make sure that their job seeking materials are up to date. They know how to effectively navigate through the job market and network and things of that sort, which we've found to be very, very effective. Something that I'd also like to highlight about our business model is that it is a JG guarantee, which means job guarantee. So if a student is not placed 6 months after completing our course, we're basically saying like, this is our way of making good on our promise. We will refund you, right? If you do, we will give you your money back. That's how much we believe in our curriculum and the support that we provide our students. Needless to say, even with that in place, upwards to 50% of our students already get a job on their own before completing the course, right? Which I think is just such a natural testament, to that passion again, and just to that one-on-one mentorship support.
Totally. And the support that you're providing, because, when you're charting an uncharted path, it's so nice to have a person who has already done that before, right? With your industry mentors, there's a person who has already seen that life, who knows the nooks and corners of how to traverse that path, who knows that life inside and out. So, when you give someone a resource like that actually that's 40% of the work done. I mean, they know the industry inside out, and the guarantee that you provide that if you don't get placed, you get your money back. That's insane. That's insane, let me tell you. And moving forward, so are there any scholarships available for people? And tell us more about, how we can be, how Springboard is being more inclusive to people who are, who might not have that much of a financial background to afford the courses, but still want to get into their dream role.
Ooh, thank you so much for bringing that up, because I think that's something else we need to talk about. And I have this conversation very often with employers who have these, you brought it up earlier, like MBA requirements and things of that sort. But we don't even realize that access to higher education in itself is a privilege. And sometimes there are barriers in place as to why people are not able to enroll, right? So it's not that they're not capable or they're not smart. It's probably maybe they're just lacking the financial resources, right? And so here at Springboard, we've spearheaded a number of different scholarship opportunities, one of them being definitely Women in Tech. So that is a scholarship that we provide to women that enroll in all of our courses. We have scholarships for veterans as well, right? Because as you can imagine, veterans it's very common that they're navigating career changes and trying to figure out, like, coming out of a non-linear career path, what is it that I want to do next? We also have scholarships for students that are current college students. So let's say if, they're going through a very intensive or beneficial four-year university degree, they want to also learn a more hard skill. We have scholarships for that as well. In addition to that, our data analytics course, which we've powered in partnership with Microsoft, has opened, numerous doors for us to fully fund scholarships. So far, 70 have been sponsored by Microsoft. We've now extended that partnership even further to award scholarships to Indigenous communities in Canada. So we're getting very creative in terms of the ways in which we remove those barriers. And, it's something we can't ignore, right? Again, aptitude is not, aptitude and access are two different things. And we have to make sure that we're aware of the fact that, while we want to create this really, vetted out and over vetted curriculum, we want to make sure that it is accessible. And so that's how we make good on our promise on that front. So thank you.
I totally get you. I mean, because most of success is, it is aptitude, but there are aspects to it which we don't have any control of, like, where you're born, or, how do you, the biases that you face because of your race, your religion and everything. And, it's really great that Springboard is taking initiatives to combat this issue. Moving on, career pivots and, changing career tracks. It's, as much as it is physically and effort-wise strenuous, it is a mental task as well. So what's your advice to aspirants who want to take that change in their career to get that mental clarity, or how they could mentally equip themselves to, make themselves ready for that phase of their life?
Yeah, I think it definitely starts with betting on yourself. You have to be your own advocate. A lot of times, and I've heard it, firsthand from hiring managers, all of these different, must-haves that they have in job descriptions, most of the time aren't. Like, that's actually a part of the interview process. It's like, I'm going to throw these things on the job description, right? And I'm going to see.
They're just ambitious. Yeah,
I want to see who actually is still going to apply for the role and is still going to take the initiative to put themselves out there and tell us why, regardless of what we think is going to, make the best candidate, why you would be a good fit for our company. And so that, look at your journey as a cultural ad. Look at your experiences, even if it doesn't fit into a box, as something you can provide. If you're looking to go into UI UX design, I'm pretty sure that your experience that you had, working in that, sales associate role, speaking with customers, getting customer complaints all day about, like, you all can improve this and do this better so it's a more seamless experience, is going to lend a very great hand into you being able to, develop empathy and understand how that customer experience should be built out. So that's the first point, is leveraging your experience in any way possible. And that is so very critical, because that only can start from the candidate, right? You can't go into an interview or look at a job opportunity expecting the hiring manager to be able to connect the dots and put the pieces together. And there's only but so much you can say on a resume, right?
Yeah.
You can highlight your accomplishment and skills of that sort, but the first part is being adaptable, seeing your background as strengths. And if there are hard skills or things of that sort that you're like, okay, I do need to step into, you know, a structured course, I do need to seek out mentorship, whatever the case may be, don't be afraid to, you know, not start over, but to just pivot. And keep this always be learning mindset. You're never going to know it all. You're never going to get to some final destination of like, you know,
it's always a journey. Yeah, it's always a journey. Totally. And adding on to that, so networking, as you mentioned, and talking with other people and getting to know that, you know, you are not alone. Everybody is feeling that imposter syndrome that, okay, what am I going to do? Am I the right person to do this job or not? So how have you combated this in your life, and what's your take on networking, and how has this helped you? How has networking helped you in your career?
Oh my goodness, imposter syndrome. We can have a whole talk about now. But I think the most important part for me, definitely mentorship. So when I was growing up, my mom actually went the entrepreneurial route, and she did not decide to go and obtain a 4-year university degree, which worked out for her. But in that same vein, she made sure that, you know, I had access to women who were very powerful in different professions. And so that I could have at least the opportunity to, you know, learn more about what is out there. And not only learn about what's out there, I saw, you know, women that looked like myself doing these really amazing, you know, initiatives out in the community to foster change. So the mentorship, I think, is very important, but 2, you just have to do it. And I think sometimes we get so in our heads and we think of so many worst case scenarios of like, oh, but like, if I want to be an engineer, the chances of me getting a job are probably X, Y, and Z, or like, you know, if I look at the stats, it looks like the odds are stacked against me and not really in my favor. Now I just do. And it's probably sometimes I have to take a step back and say, okay, let me assess and bring some more stakeholders in. But like, what's the worst that can happen, right? I think just get started. Just get started somewhere. And having an accountability partner is, you know, sometimes even more vital, because you have someone in your corner that's like, hey, you know, how are you doing on X, Y, and Z? How can I help you? Who can I connect you with? And sometimes it's not in your immediate network. And I think this is where networking comes into play. I was telling your team, you know, before reaching out about this speaking opportunity, I've personally been an avid follower of Power to Fly for forever, because I knew I could go to your website. You had seminars, you had different info sessions that spoke so much to my journey and my path. So, you know, sometimes you have to step out of your community and step out of your comfort zone to find, you know, those different organizations that are doing the work, you know, to make sure that you feel supported in your journey. So
yeah, just reaching out to people and let you know your story. It's all about storytelling and connecting your points and your journey, and, you know, pivoting that, showing that in a favorable manner, so that, you know, you get all, I mean, you let people know about your struggles and the place that you're coming from. Talking about that, how does Springboard help in interview preparation? I know you have talked about this, that you have a separate career cell that helps people prepare for their job interviews, but are there interview preparations? Are there LinkedIn sessions? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so actually a part of our career services requirements is that students must complete like informational mock interviews, which we found to be very helpful. We just had a success story recently. One of our students, she's been working for a very hard time to land a role. She landed an interview with Facebook for their return to work program. Didn't work out at that time, but we kept working with her. And another opportunity came up at Amazon for another return to work role, which is specifically for individuals who've been out of the workforce for a certain time period. And so during this time, we said, okay, how can we work with her to set her up for optimal success? And we were able to actually lean on our internal team. We have mentors that sit on our advisory board that currently are managers at Amazon that were able to connect with her and say, hey, this is what we care about as a core value, right? Able to allow her to go into the interview, knowing how to pose her background around the things that matter. And then also not just thinking about cultural fit, but again, how can she use her experiences to show how that's going to lend an advantage to Amazon's workforce. So I think that I love to use success stories because it's just so much more real just to see the power of speaking with others. We have our alumni group, which is super supportive. And, you know, they're more than happy, you know, when we have students that are interviewing at a company that they may be working at, to connect with them and just support them throughout the journey. Because again, there are just certain things that you cannot learn unless you're able to really speak with someone who is currently working with the organization and understands the vision and the direction in which they're hoping to go. So
totally, yeah. And adding on to that, you mentioned about, you know, the scholarship opportunity, the 100% scholarship that you're offering in partnership with Microsoft. So tell us more about how you are working with the corporate partners, be it Microsoft, Amazon, to, you know, make sure that the students that are enrolled with Springboard land their dream roles.
Oh, that is a great question. So with Microsoft specifically, it's really cool in how we merge that partnership. So as I mentioned, we actually partner with them to say, hey, we want to co-create this data analytics curriculum. And they've been able to, you know, help us understand like what's, you know, vital, not only to the Microsoft team, but what are the trends and skills that are at the highest need right now and just the entire market. And so what we're finding is that in addition to being able to launch these like co-created career tracks, at the same time, we want to provide access. And so that's how we forged that partnership, is basically saying, you know what, let's take it up a notch and use basically allocate the funds that we're receiving from enrollments to open doors for others who just don't have the opportunity and don't have the access. Amazon's another one that you've brought up, and they're definitely on our list. We have not forged a formalized partnership in that respect. But to your point, that is what we're driving, very excited to drive end of this quarter and going into next year, are these larger partnerships where we're saying, you know, we can provide you with the diverse talent, but there's also this, you know, unspoken need where it's like, if we want to foster this continuous pipeline of diverse talent, we have to open the floodgates, we have to open the door so that they're able to have access to the necessary, you know, skills to be able to make that smooth career transition.
Totally. And so, of course, Springboard helps, you know, in getting people connected to mentors, getting people access to networks. So how do you suggest that people who are in the early stages of career or wanting to pivot to a new role, how should they, I mean, of course, everybody knows about networking and it's easier said than done. How should they, you know, kind of cherry pick those opportunities, because they are not always visible and people have reservations about reaching out to people. Am I being too pushy? Am I being annoying? So these are the reservations that are generally associated with networking. So what's your take? What's your personal take on, you know, moving through this maze?
Yes, I definitely think in this like pandemic era, a lot of people have been feeling the weight of like probably networking overload, right? And to your point, a lot of people are like, I don't want to come off as a pest. Like, I don't want to bother this person. Have a clear ask. That is what I always say, even when I reach out to employers, have a clear and direct ask. Try to keep things less ambiguous as possible. Don't reach out saying, hey, just looking forward to connecting or hoping we can chat. Chances are that person is not going to feel compelled to respond. If you reach out to them and you say, you know, hey, Sanmaya, I see that you are working as the director of data science or whatever at, you know, Power to Fly. And I really, you know, admire this, you know, initiative that you all just push to be able to achieve X, Y, and Z? Do you just have, 15 or 30 minutes or so for us to connect in the upcoming week? I'd really like to learn more about how you spearheaded that project. What did cross collaboration look like? What tools, is your team using at this time to best deliver? Have a specific ask. And what I find is most of the time people will be less, I guess, inclined to let that go ignored, because it's like, okay, this person has a concrete reason why they're reaching out to me. So take that initiative and know what it is that you're seeking in that networking versus just let's connect with one another and keep it open-ended.
Totally. And let me just add one more thing that I just remembered. So in one of our previous sessions, we had a Priya Soda who told us that, whenever you're reaching out to somebody, just ask them, can I buy you a virtual coffee? And then send them that, Starbucks gift card or whatever. So, by that, people always remember the person who bought them a coffee. And that was a subtle touch that I remembered. And I thought, I should add here. Moving forward, this is the moment that our audience has been waiting for. And Nadeja, so do that announcement. What's the special gift that you have in store for our audience?
I don't know. No. So in the vein, I think we talked about this a lot today, having access, right? We would absolutely love to offer Power to Fly members the opportunity to enroll in any of our Springboard career tracks of your choosing for a special discount of $750 off. Yes, we worked very closely. This is how much we just believe in the Power to Fly network, in the job seekers who are just so brave and remind us so much of our Springboard candidates in so many different ways. I could go on and on, but that code is live today. So it's Power to Fly 750, all caps.
Okay.
No spaces.
So let me just drop that in the chat.
Yes.
Here we go. All right. So now that we are wrapping up the session and ending to those final moments. So Deja, tell us more about how we can connect with you and what are the links, all those Springboard links. I know everybody who uses Google, that person is not oblivious to Springboard. It's such a brand name, but yeah, tell us more about how we can connect with you and continue supporting in your endeavor.
Yes, feel free to add me on LinkedIn. That is my mecca. I'm on LinkedIn every single day. So Nadeja, N-A-D-E-J-A, Deja in parentheses. I go by both. I have no preference. So if you address me as Nadeja or Deja, I equally accept both names. Last name Adams, and check us out at springboard.com. If you want to learn more, go ahead and just click on the career track and you can book a call today. But we'd really love to learn more about what excites you, what career you're seeking to land, and how we might potentially be able to support you and expedite that process.
Totally. Thank you, Nadeja, for all those nuggets of knowledge. And I got to know a lot from you, and your career journey has been inspiring. Thank you for inspiring us. And Meg, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sanmaya. And thank you, Deja, for that amazing session. It was absolutely wonderful.